From the moment someone whispers the name Jesus, 1,000 stories rush in. But what if I told you the most powerful proof of his existence doesn't come from faith? It comes from outsiders, skeptics, and hard evidence that dares to demand our attention. First, Tacitus, one of Rome's greatest historians, writing around 115 CE, in his Annals he speaks of Christus, who suffered the extreme penalty under Pontius Pilate during the reign of Tiberius. He writes this while recording Nero's persecution of Christians after the Great Fire of Rome. Tacitus is hostile to Christians. He's not writing to promote belief, and yet he names Jesus. That's one non-Christian voice pointing straight to him. Next, Josephus, a 1st century Jewish historian. In his work Antiquities, he refers to a figure, Jesus, who was called Christ, though some parts may have been polished by later Christian editors. More compelling is a second reference. He describes the death of James, the brother of Jesus, who is called Christ. That kind of insider detail, naming a family tie, suggests Josephus was aware of a real man behind the movement. Then there's Pliny the Younger. In a letter to Emperor Trajan around 112 CE, he mentions Christians worshipping Christ as a god. He doesn't recount miracles or theology. He confirms devotion. That shows the man Jesus wasn't just a myth to believers. His followers treated him as a real figure. Lucian of Samosata, a sharp-tongued satirist of the 2nd century, mocks Christians for worshipping a crucified sage. That mocking presupposes people had a story in circulation, something concrete to mock. He didn't invent Jesus for humor. He's reacting to a legend floating around. In Jewish rabbinic writings such as the Talmud, we also find a reference to one, Yeshu, hanged on the eve of Passover. It's brief, dismissive, but its tone suggests this figure was known in Jewish communities, not invented later by Christians. On the archaeological side, we don't have a bone or relic universally accepted as Jesus's, but we do have context that matches the gospel world. Excavations in Nazareth, inscriptions attesting to Pontius Pilate's existence, evidence of Roman crucifixion practices, and material culture matching early Christian communities. These don't prove every gospel claim, but they show the stories are not floating in fantasy. They're grounded in a world that actually existed. A controversial case is the so-called James ossuary, a 1st century burial box inscribed James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. Some claim it's authentic. Others say the inscription was forged. The court case ended without certainty. It's tantalizing, but not conclusive. Another speculative idea is the Talpiot tomb in Jerusalem, discovered in 1980. Among the ossuaries were names like Yeshua, son of Joseph, and Maria. Some claim this might be Jesus' family tomb, but names like Jesus, Joseph, and Mary were exceedingly common in that era. Most scholars reject the idea because of weak statistical support and lack of definite linking. Beyond each piece, the stronger case is how these independent lines converge. Tacitus, Josephus, Pliny, Lucian, none were writing to boost Christianity, yet they reference Jesus or the early movement. The James reference adds familial detail. Archaeology confirms the setting is real. The speculative finds provoke curiosity but don't carry weight alone. This is not blind faith, this is historical inference. No single source is perfect. Some names and passages might have been tweaked, but when unrelated voices point in the same direction, we must follow. The weight of evidence leans heavily toward the conclusion. Jesus of Nazareth was a real historical person. If this brought something new for you today, hit like, smash subscribe for more deep dives, and let me know. What piece surprised you most? Did Tacitus or Josephus catch your attention? I read every thoughtful comment. We started with a whisper, now we have echoes in Roman scrolls, Jewish council minutes, satirical jabs, and stone boxes. The proof isn't flawless, but it's consistent, surprising, and profound. That's enough to make anyone lean in. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time with more truth hunts.